Ethiopia's selection to host upcoming AU summit said a diplomatic victory. And scholar urged National Dialogue Commission to conduct transparent and inclusive discussions. A very warm welcome to Addis News Hour with the news. I'm Shifarao Lako, and do stay with us. Now, Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, along with a high-level delegation, has arrived in the capital of the Somali regional state, Jigjiga, today to visit drought-affected areas in the region. The delegation was received by the president of the regional state. The delegation will review relief efforts being undertaken, it was learned. Now, the U.S.-led West and its allies tried their utmost at stripping Addis Ababa of its significance as a conference center. The TPLF's wanton destruction on civilians and its invasion raged on. The West tried to assist the group with some diplomatic maneuvers, like undermining Addis Ababa's role at the seat of the AU and other continental organizations. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ethiopia says the latest decision by Africa leaders to go on with the hosting of the AU's upcoming 35th Ordinary Summit is a diplomatic victory for Ethiopia and a complete defeat for the neo-colonialist camp. Shagaye Matao brings you up to speed.
The West used instability as a pretext in its attempt to relocate the venue of African Union summit away from Addis Ababa. All the while, the West relied on fake alerts issued by some embassies in Addis Ababa, trying to make it look like Addis was on siege. However, had the West and its allies tried to relocate the venue of the summit, the attempt failed. The African bloc decided not to fall into the West's trap of insecurity in Ethiopia, having realized that the reality in Ethiopia was to the contrary.
There were heinous attempts, hidden hands, that were trying to relocate the venue of the meeting, especially not only the relocation of the venue of the meeting, but forbidding the physical meeting, because this is going to be a physical summit. The corona has been a pretext. The instability, so-called instability of the capital, or Addis, or Ethiopia, has been the case in point. This is where these were the narratives, the wrong narratives, which were not true. This had been defeated due to the intense diplomatic activities by our leadership and by the support of our African friends. And they were defeated because they could not contain any iota of truth. That the country is stable now. Ethiopia is a country where you can conduct business. Ethiopia is a country where you can travel to and from, and there is an orderly life here. Above all, the Africans are aware of the fact that Ethiopia has been they have a credit for, Ethiopia has been countries that have been contributing to the African freedom, to the African stability at the front, and the Africans are aware of this and they have realized that, and now they have decided to hold the summit here physically.
Often working hand in hand with the terrorist PLF, the West also tried to pressure the bloc into holding the summit virtual if relocation fails. However, the bloc's firm stance allowed Ethiopia to hold the meeting physically. Having rich experience in hosting these and other high-level meetings, Ethiopia has stepped up preparations for the event expected to take place in early February this year.
The preparation for the hospitality of the 35th Summit of the African Union is underway. The National Committee, composed of various pertinent institutions, have been formed. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Protocol Department, and others are also one of it, and other pertinent institutions are in this committee as well. The committee is performing a lot of things by preparing conducive atmosphere for the welcoming of the guests, the head of states, the diplomats, ministers will be coming. As you know, there will be a meeting of the Council of Ministers before that of the summit. There will be a lot of international media guys are expected. Media corps is expected, and there could be other side guests as well. There is a possibility also of hosting the First Lady of the Head of States, where a preparation has been made and the preparation is underway. Definitely the security of the envoys will be taken care of by the pertinent institutions of the nations. As you know very well, Ethiopia has a very rich experience of hosting the African Union for so many years since its formations, and therefore will capitalize on this rich experience.
The 35th Ordinary Session of the Executive Council or Ministerial Session and the 35th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of the African Union will take place from 2nd to 6th February 2022.
Now, the Ethiopian Defense Minister Abraham Belai and Vice President of Sudan's Transitional Sovereign Council, Lieutenant General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, discussed bilateral issues. Abraham stated that during the discussion, the two stressed the need to reinforce partnership between Ethiopia and Sudan. It is recalled that Lieutenant General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo also discussed with Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed bilateral issues of mutual interest between Ethiopia and Sudan. The Defense Minister Abraham Belai has seen off the Lieutenant General upon his departure from Bole International Airport. The newly set up National Dialogue Commission needs to undertake transparent and inclusive national dialogue to help the nation achieve a successful transition. Talking to ETV, the Director General of the Institute for Peace and Reconciliation for Africa says undertaking discussions with the intention of coming up with a win-win solution is a step in the right direction. Habtama Shagri has the following story.
Fractured by ethnic and political polarization, Ethiopia has of late stepped into a long process of building national consciousness, sustainable peace and reconciliation by establishing its first ever National Dialogue Commission. This comes after Ethiopia's federal parliament ratified a bill for the establishment of an 11-member National Reconciliation Commission. Talking to TV, Director General of Institute for Peace and Reconciliation for Africa, Shoafarao Kratu said the Commission needs to play its unprecedented role to undertake transparent and inclusive national dialogue to bring peace and stability to the country.
The newly established commission needs to have the capacity to identify the ills of the society. Next, it should be a voice for the most affected people in Ethiopia. In addition, the commission must elaborate and present the problems clearly to the people. It must be a platform to discuss this matter seriously and find real remedies. But in all likelihood, this will take a long time.
The Institute for Peace and Reconciliation for Africa, headquartered in Washington, D.C., and is undertaking various research activities throughout Africa to bring peace and reconciliation. Experience throughout the globe shows that while some countries have succeeded in setting up commissions and conducting fruitful dialogues, others have miserably failed.
Rwanda, South Africa, በሁለቱ ሀገሮች ላይ ሰክሰስ ነው የሆነው። ምክንያቱም
Rwanda and South Africa remain good examples of effective national dialogue commissions. In most cases, the commissions help get to the bottom of the real problems and designate the three different categories of problems to find remedies.
The multicultural Horn of the African nation, with an estimated over 150 million people, has been plagued by simmering ethnic, political and religious polarization as well as armed conflicts that have threatened the stability of the country. The 11-member Ethiopian National Dialogue Commission is tasked with facilitating an inclusive dialogue and reconciliation process that would heal wounds, build a consciousness on key issues and help the country to solve its complex problems.
جمعتنا كل فيزيك حلفلو علامات كعتسي ما خلو يا بلو ورا يا امبلو يا بلو يا بلو سلام لبعت لي تبهقنا انت خالق انت مسايم صابر يا قدس سلام لبعت لي تبهقنا يا علمان انا وحد قسق انا عرفتك هاي لا لا يا عشر حمل هاي لا لا يا ايام بالقوبس هاي لا لا يا انا خلو هاي لا لا يا
Welcome back. You're still watching Addis News Hour. Now moving on, a scholar says transitional justice will have a significant contribution to resolving national issues that require consensus. And for this to happen, the scholar Marshet Taddesa says it is necessary to consider the long-standing Ethiopian values. Gushu Melisau has more on that.
Ethiopia is set to hold national dialogue to reach general consensus on unresolved grand national issues. One of the judicial process that will be involved in the implementation of the national dialogue is the transitional justice. Talking to ETV, a scholar says transitional justice has a significant contribution to heal historical rifts among the people.
If countries are said to be under transition, the transitional justice should consider horrific human rights violation and displacement. Thousands of citizens have been killed, displaced and sustained physical injury and disability. So the transitional justice should address the root causes of meaningless conflicts so far.
According to the scholar, there are many problems that have risen in Ethiopia following various historical incidents and have been passed down through generations. Resolving the problems in the transitional justice system is timely, he noted.
There is no country in the world that needs a transitional justice like Ethiopia, because we did not investigate the causes of conflicts, polarized narrations and atrocities nationally. From each corner of Ethiopia, the people are propagating polarized issues due to political elite differences because we fail to filter out the truth and move forward.
ምንድነው የሆነው ለምንድነው የሆነው ምን ያህል ሰው ነው የሞተብን የት ነው የሞተው ማን ነው የገደለው ለምንድነው የገደለው ብለን አጣርተን
He stresses the need to work hard for the success of transitional justice in Ethiopia.
የሽግግር ፍትህ ትናንታችንን ቻፕተሩን ዘግተን
Transitional justice helps close the war's history of yesterday, but when we close our file, we have to verify it truly without ignoring the wounds behind the curtain. Transitional justice enables us to accept and reject what happened and not happened to move forward. So there are various kinds of transitional justice according to a country's culture, costume, and traction. In order to have successful transitional justice, we have to consider long-standing values of the country.
ለኢትዮጵያ ችግር ኢትዮጵያዊ ቃና ባለ
When transitional justice put in place, alternatives of informal justice will be implemented, including compensations for victims, according to the scholar.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs says partners have supported around 1.48 billion birr worth of nutrition supplies and about 128 million birr worth of medical supplies to Tigray over the last 6 months. The Ministry of Health had kept a stock of medicines and pharmaceutical supplies worth more than $500 million at Mekelle and Shire hubs when the government declared a unilateral humanitarian ceasefire. It was indicated on the statement. Since July 2021, through access facilitated by the government of Ethiopia, 658 metric tons of medicines and medical supplies were delivered by 18 trucks through 7 organizations. The Ethiopian Red Cross has supplied 3,565 kilograms of emergency drugs through the EU hub flight, while UNICEF provided 42 health emergency kits of different types of medicines and medical supplies through EU donation. Now, in business, Ethiopian Airlines Group will ramp up investments in cargo services and infrastructure and is looking to become a logistic hub for Africa's growing e-commerce market. Group CEO Tolda Gebramariam disclosed that the continent's largest airline is considering an order for about 5 Boeing 77 freighters and may also take upcoming Airbus SE A350. Tolda said the airline is building a new e-commerce warehouse in a cargo terminal, adding commerce is growing especially between China and Africa. Cargo now accounts for half of Ethiopia's revenue compared with about 15% before the coronavirus, Tolda said. That figure may drop to 30% as passenger services recover, which he said is likely to accelerate when China opens up in the second half of 2022. Ethiopian is finalizing the creation of new airline in the Democratic Republic of Congo and will open 49% of the company. It has similar partnerships with the governments of Zambia, Chad, and Malawi. The Ethiopian Ministry of Transport and Logistics and DP World multinational logistics company based in Dubai, United Arab Emirates have explored ways to enhance cooperation in logistics sector. Transport and Logistics Minister Dagmawit Moges has met with Group Chairman and CEO of DP World, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulaim, discussing ways how to reinforce collaboration between the ministry and the logistics company. The two discussed the progress of joint initiatives and agreed on ways of enhancing cooperation in logistics sector. Now let's take a quick look at foreign exchange rates and we'll be right back. And now moving to continental news, the president of Burkina Faso has reportedly been detained by mutinying soldiers. Political tensions have existed in Burkina Faso for months now. And for more on this, here is Kasaun Chane from CGTN reports. Take a look.
4 months as protesters have taken to the streets of Burkina Faso. The call of demonstrators has remained the same for President Marc Christian Kabore to resign. Calls for his resignation come due to what protesters see as a failure to stop the growing militant attacks in the country. Burkina Faso faces a security challenge of intercommunal conflict as well as jihadist attacks with groups linked to Al-Qaeda and ISIS operating in a country, but President Kabore is facing more than just a civilian-led opposition. Earlier this month, 8 soldiers were arrested for conspiring against the government. Authorities believe the soldiers were looking to destabilize institutions. Military camps and personnel have increasingly become a target in jihadist attacks. Kabore has made attempts to call calls for his resignation. In December, he reshuffled both his cabinet and 7 military posters. This included replacing as military chief and the resignation of his Prime Minister Christophe. The government has also repeatedly shut down mobile internet services following protests. This is despite members of the opposition and civil society groups are still calling for more protests.
And in our sports updates, the 11th African Wheelchair Basketball Championship opening ceremony was colorfully inaugurated at Ras Hailu Gymnasium in Addis Ababa. During the opening ceremony, high Ethiopian government officials and others across the continent have attended the race, and it is said to be pivotal to further boost and cement the relationship of various African countries. It was also noted that this competition of persons with disabilities could be a stepping stone to ensure the needs and participations ahead.
First, I would like to welcome our guests from IWBF Africa, especially from our countries Egypt, Algeria, South Africans, and also those of our friends on air, Democratic Republic of Congo, we're representing them officially here, families, officials of wheelchair basketball. And I thank for all of you having time with us in your city, Addis Ababa, by respecting our invitation to host 2022 IWBF Africa Qualification Tournament, men and women, to qualify for 2022 International Wheelchair Basketball Championship competition.
First of all, I would like to welcome you to the 11th African Wheelchair Basketball Competition opening ceremony on behalf of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Government Ministry of Culture and Sport, and on my behalf. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, sport plays a very important role to create healthy, competitive and competent citizens. It is also a great platform for countries to strengthen their ties with each other. In particularly, since the liberation of African countries from the influence of colonial power, they have been exchanging experience by organizing sport events which have enabled them to develop a sense of Pan-Africanism.
It's really a great honor and pleasure for me to be here to deliver message and officially open the 11th African Wheelchair Basketball Competition. And I just would love to say welcome you all from our sister African countries to the beautiful city Addis Ababa and the origin of human beings in Ethiopia. This is your home. My Ministry of Women and Social Affairs, is responsible to ensure equal participation and inclusiveness for people with disabilities in all spheres in our country.
You're still watching at this news hour, and let's take a quick look at the weather updates of some African nations, and we'll be right back. And now a quick reminder of the top stories. Ethiopia's selection to host upcoming AU summit said diplomatic victory. And scholar urged National Dialogue Commission to conduct transparent and inclusive discussions. And that's all the news there is for now. Many thanks indeed for watching us. Bye-bye.